Hello friends. So today we will discuss some of the multi-threading questions that are generally asked in Java interviews. So these are some of the basic questions that we will discuss and which is generally asked for less experienced people. So our first question is why synchronization is important. So, without synchronization, it is possible for one thread to modify a shared object while another thread is in the process of using or updating that object's value. So, this often causes dirty data and leads to significant errors. The disadvantages of synchronization is that it can cause deadlocks when two threads are waiting on each other to do something. Also, synchronized code has the overhead of acquiring block which can adversely affect the performance. Our next question is what is a thread local class? Okay, so thread local is a handy class for simplifying development of thread safe concurrent programs by making the object stored in the class not shareable between threads. Thread local class encapsulate non-thread safe classes to be safely used in a multi-threaded environment and also allows you to create per thread singleton. The next question is what is a daemon thread? Daemon threads are sometimes called service or background threads. These are threads that normally run at a low priority and provide a basic service to a program when activity on a machine is reduced. An example of daemon thread that is continuously running in the garbage is the garbage collector thread. The JVM exits whenever all daemon threads have completed, which means that all daemon threads are automatically stopped to make a thread as a daemon thread in Java. What we need to do? So we need to make the thread name, suppose say it's my thread, so my thread dot set daemon and within parenthesis you have to pass true. Okay, so this is how you can make it a daemon thread. The JVM always has a main thread as default. The main thread is always non-daemon. The user threads are created from the main thread and by default they are non-daemon. If you want to make a user created thread to be daemon, that is stops when the main thread stops, then use the set daemon true as we discussed. So our next question is why wait, notify and notify all methods are defined in object class and not in the thread class. So every Java object has a monitor associated with it. The threads using that object can lock or unlock the monitor associated with the object. Wait, notify and notify all methods are responsible for acquiring and relinquishing the lock associated with the particular object. Calling wait causes the current thread to wait to acquire the lock of the object, and calling notify or notify all relinquishes the lock and notifies the threads waiting for that lock. Our next question is what does join method do? Suppose say T is a thread, so T dot join allows the current thread to wait indefinitely until the thread T is finished. So T dot join, and within the join we pass some parameter which is generally time in millisecond. So this T dot join allows the current thread to wait for thread T to finish but doesn't wait longer than whatever time you have specified. Okay. So our next question is, explain threads blocking on IO. So occasionally threads have to block on conditions other than object locks. IO is the best example of this. Threads block on IO so that other threads may execute while the IO operation is performed. When threads are blocked on an IO call inside an object's synchronized method, and also if the other methods of the object are also synchronized, then the object is essentially frozen while the thread is blocked. Be sure not to synchronize code that makes blocking calls, or make sure that a non-synchronized method exists on an object with synchronized blocking code. Although this technique requires some care to ensure that the resulting code is still thread safe, it allows objects to be responsive to other threads when a thread holding its lock is blocked. Next question: what are some of the thread related problems and what causes those problems? So basically, deadlock, live lock, starvation, these are some of the thread related problems. What is deadlock? Deadlock occurs when two or more threads are blocked forever waiting for each other. This may occur when two threads, each having a lock on the same resource, attempt to acquire a lock on the other's resource. Each thread would wait indefinitely for the other resource to release the lock unless one of the user processes is terminated. The thread deadlock can occur in conditions such as, say, two threads calling thread.join on each other, two threads using nested synchronized block to lock two objects, and blocks lock the same objects in different order. Okay. So starvation and live lock are much less common a problem than deadlock, and it occurs when all threads are blocked or are otherwise unable to proceed due to unavailability of required resource and the non-existence of any unblocked thread to make those resources available. The thread live lock can occur in conditions such as all the threads in a program are stuck in infinite loop, all the threads in a program execute object.wait on an object with zero parameter, the program is live locked and cannot proceed until one or more threads call object.notify or object.notify all on the relevant objects. Because all the threads are blocked, neither can be made. Okay, so starvation describes a situation where a thread is unable to gain regular access to shared resources and is unable to make progress. This happens when shared resources are made unavailable for long period by greedy threads. For example, suppose an object provides a synchronized method that often takes a long time to return. If one thread invokes this method frequently, other threads that also need frequent synchronized access to the same object will often be blocked. The thread starvation can occur in conditions such as one thread cannot access the CPU because one or more other threads are monopolizing the CPU, setting thread priorities inappropriately, A lower priority thread can be starved by higher priority threads if the higher priority threads do not yield control of the CPU from time to time. Our next question is, what happens if you call the run method directly instead of calling it via the start method? Calling run method directly just executes the code synchronously, just like a normal method call, but by calling the start method, it starts the execution of new thread and calls the run method. The start method returns immediately and the new thread normally continues until the run method returns. So don't make the mistake of calling the run method directly. So you are, by calling run method directly, you are violating the purpose. Like it will run in the same thread, it will not create a new thread. So that is why we need to call it through the start method. Then what is the difference between sleep, suspend and wait? Thread.sleep takes the current thread to a not runnable state for specified amount of time. The thread holds the monitor it has acquired. For example, if a thread is running a synchronized block or method and sleep method is then called, and then no other thread will be able to enter this block or method. The sleeping thread can wake up when some other thread calls the t.interrupt on it. So mind it that sleep is a static method, which means it always affects the current thread. A common mistake is trying to call t2.sleep where t2 is a different thread. Even then, it is the current thread that will sleep, not t2 thread. Thread.suspend is deprecated. It's possible to send other threads into suspended state by making a suspend method call. In suspended state, a thread keeps all its monitors and cannot be interrupted. This may cause deadlocks because the so that is the reason it has been deprecated. So object.wait call also takes the current thread into a not runnable state just like sleep, but with a slight change. Wait method is invoked on a lock object, not thread. Here is a sequence of operation that you can imagine based on these three methods. Okay, so we'll leave it for now. We'll move on to our next question, which is, what happens when I make a static method as synchronized? Synchronized static methods have a lock on the class. So, when a thread enters a synchronized static method, the class itself gets locked by the thread monitor and no other thread can enter any static synchronized method on that class. This is unlike instance method, as multiple threads can access same synchronized instance methods at the same time for different instances. So our next question is, can we synchronize the run method? If yes, then what will be the behavior? Yes, the run method of runnable class can be synchronized. If you make run method synchronized, then the lock on runnable object will be occupied before executing the run method. In case we start multiple threads using the same runnable object in the constructor of the thread, then it would work. But until the first thread ends, the second thread cannot start, and until the second thread ends, the next cannot start, as all the threads depend on lock on same object. So next question, can we synchronize the constructor of a Java class? As per Java language specification, constructions constructors cannot be synchronized because other threads cannot see the object being created before the thread creating it has finished it. There is no practical need of a Java object constructor to be synchronized since it would lock the object being constructed, which is normally not available to other threads until all constructor of the object finish. This is not an exhaustive list of question actually, but still these are some of the important question. So we will check further few more questions. So the next question is, what is the advantage and usage of threads? Okay, so threads support concurrent operation. For example, multiple requests by a client on a server can be handled as an individual client thread. Long computations or high latency disk and network operations can be handled in the background without disturbing foreground computation or screen updates. Second thing, threads often result in simpler program. In sequential programming, updating multiple displays normally requires a big while loop that performs small part of each display update. Unfortunately, this loop basically simulates an operating system scheduler. In Java, each view can be assigned a thread to provide continuous updates. Programs that need to respond to user initiated events can set up service routines to handle the events without having to insert code in the main routine to look for these events. Third thing, threads provide a high degree of control. Okay, then imagine launching a complex computation that occasionally takes longer than it's expected. A watchdog thread can be activated that will kill the computation if it becomes costly, perhaps in favor of an alternate approximate solution. Note that sequential programs must muddy the computation with terminate code, whereas the Java program can use thread control to non-intrusively surprise any operation. Fourth point I would say is threaded application exploit parallelism. A computer with multiple CPU can literally execute multiple threads on different fundamental units and different functional units without having to simulate multitasking. On same computer, one CPU handles the display while another handles computation or database access, thus providing extremely fast user interface response time. Okay, so these are some of the uses and advantages of using thread. Our next question is, what are the two ways of creating thread? It is a very basic question. So there are basically two ways. First is extending the thread class and then overriding the run method in your class, and the second option is implementing the runnable interface, and then you will have to implement the run method in the runnable interface. Okay, so you can go through the codes uh, in books and sites also. So next question is, what are the different state of a thread life cycle? The different states of thread's life cycle are: first, it's a new state. When a thread is instantiated, it is in the new state until the start method is called on the thread instance. In this state, the thread is not considered to be alive. Then is the runnable state. The thread enters into the state after the start method is called in the thread instance. So the thread may enter into runnable state from running state also. In this state, thread is considered to be alive. The next state is running state. When the thread scheduler picks up the thread from runnable threads pool, the thread starts running and the thread is set to be in running state. Next is wait or blocked state or sleep state. In these states, the thread is said to be alive but not runnable. The thread switches to this state because of reasons like wait method called or sleep method has been called on running thread, or thread might be waiting for some IO resource, so blocked. So in these situations it will go to the wait state or blocked state or sleep state. And next is the dead state. When the thread finishes its execution, that is the run method execution is completed, it is said to be in dead state. Dead state cannot be started again. If a start method is invoked on a dead thread, a runtime exception will be thrown. So next question we will discuss is what is the use of synchronized keyword. Synchronized keyword can be applied to static, non-static methods or a block of code. Only one thread at a time can access synchronized methods, and if there is multiple thread trying to access the same method, then other threads have to wait for execution of method by one thread. Synchronized keyword provides a lock on the object and thus prevents the race condition. Next question is what is the difference when synchronized keyword is applied to static method and a non-static method? When a synchronized non-static method is called, a lock is obtained on the object. When a synchronized static method is called, a lock is obtained on the class and not on the object. The lock on the object and the lock on the class generally they interfere with each other, which means a thread accessing a synchronized non-static method, then the other thread can access the synchronized static method at the same time, but they cannot access the synchronized non-static method. Hope you understood this. So basically what it is saying that uh, in a static method it's on a class, and in a non-static method it's on a object. Okay, so what is a volatile keyword? In general, each thread has its own copy of variable such that one thread is not concerned with the value of same variable in the other thread, but sometimes this may not be the case. Consider a scenario in which the count variable is holding the number of times a method is called for a given class irrespective of any thread calling. In this case, irrespective of thread access, the count has to be increased. So, the count variable is declared as volatile. The copy of volatile variable is stored in the main memory. So every time a thread accesses the variable, even for reading purpose, the local copy is updated each time from the main memory. The volatile variable also have performance issues. What is the difference between yield and the sleep method? Yield allows current thread to release its lock from the object, and scheduler gives the lock of the object to the other thread with same priority. Sleep method allows the thread to go to sleep state for say some milliseconds. When the thread goes into sleep state, it doesn't release the lock. Then what is the difference between wait and sleep? Wait is a method of object class, sleep is a method of thread class. Sleep allows the thread to go to sleep state for some milliseconds. When a thread goes into sleep state, it doesn't release the lock. Wait allows thread to release the lock and goes into suspended state. The thread is only active when a notify or notify all method is called for the same object. So what is the difference between notify and notify all? Notify wakes up the first thread that called wait on the same object, whereas notify all wakes up all threads that called wait on the same object. The highest priority thread will run fast. Then what happens when start is called? I think we discussed it before. A new thread of execution with a new call stack starts when a start method is called. The State of thread changes from new to runnable when the thread gets chance to execute its target run method starts to run. So then what is daemon thread? I think we already discussed it. It is a repetition. So these are the low priority thread, and these are basically service provider threads that run in the background, and these are not used to run the application code generally. When all user threads complete their execution, the JVM exits the main application, whatever may be the state of the daemon thread, and JVM does not wait for the daemon threads to complete their execution if all user threads have completed their execution. So basically, it is a low priority thread. So then, can static method be synchronized? Uh, I think again this is a repetition. Yes, it can be synchronized. Uh, Static method are class method and have only one copy of static data per class. Only the lock, only one lock for the entire class is required. Every class in Java is represented by java.lang.class instance. The lock on the instance is used to synchronize the static method. Can two threads call different static synchronized method of the same class? No, the static synchronized method of same class always block each other as only one lock per class exists. Okay, so no two static synchronized method can execute at the same time. Okay, so next question is, what is a better way of creating multi-threaded application? Extending thread class or implementing runnable interface? If a class is made to extend the thread class to have a multi-threaded application, then this subclass of thread cannot extend any other class, and the required application will have to be added to this class as it cannot be inherited from any other class. If a class is made to implement runnable interface, then the class can extend other class or implement other interface. So based on your need, you can go for any of these. Okay, so can start method of thread class be overridden? If yes, should it be overridden? Yes, start method can be overridden, but it should not be overridden, as the implementation in thread class has the code to create a new executable thread and is very much specialized, so it should not be overridden. Then what are the methods of thread class used to schedule the thread? Okay, basically they are the sleep, yield, join, set priority. These are the methods of thread class. So the signature would be public static void thread void sleep, and within parenthesis some time in milliseconds, long millisecond, and it throws interrupted exception. Then public static void yield, then public final void join throws interrupted exception, then public final void set priority, and within bracket you can set the priority int priority. You can check for the priority values like 1, 10, 5. What is the significance of that? You can check that. So we'll move to the next question, which is, which thread related methods are available in object class? Okay, so we know it's wait, notify, and notify all. Wait method signature is public final void wait throws the interrupted exception, and then public final void notify, public final void notify all. So I move to the next question. Which thread related methods are available in thread class? So they are the sleep, yield, state priority, start, interrupt, void, join, run, and resume. You can check about the syntax and signature of these methods. Then list the methods which, when called, the thread does not release the log held. So they will be, I think, notify, join, sleep, and yield. So these are the methods which when called the thread does not release the locks held. So list the method which when called an object the thread releases the lock held on the object. So basically wait is the method where the thread releases the lock. So does each thread has its own thread stack? Yes, each thread has its own call stack. Okay. Suppose say example thread T1 is equal to new thread T2 is equal to new thread T3 is equal to T1. Here T1 and T3 will have the same stack and T2 will have its own independent stack. So these are few questions. There can be many such questions in multi-threading applications. You may be asked to write the programs on producer consumer. So some examples of the methods of thread class and object class, how sequentially you can operate them. So you can go over more. These are some basic questions that we discussed. If you like the video, please like it and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.